we have built a structure in our world that everything runs on money. So money is power, money is love, money is security, money has become everything. The first thing I do usually with clients is change that from that mentality, that mindset that it's not money, it's abundance.
Welcome back to Soul Inspired. Today I'm really excited to have Atousa Raissyan on with me. She is a shamanic healer, transformation healer, and spiritual guide. So I have a lot to unpack with that. So I'm just really excited to have you on today. So first of all, thanks for coming on to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, I was excited when I was kind of looking at booking different types of people. I saw what you did and the things that you're doing in the world, and I was really excited to just have you come on and have a conversation. I do lead people through kind of a conversation that I set the same stage for everyone, and so that's the beautiful part, and we'll do it as authentic as possible. So one of the first things I ask right away is, depending how personal you want to get or not personal with this, but if there was an event or moment in your life, something particular that happened in your life that led you on the path of what you do.
I know a significant event that I stopped playing around with what I was doing before. And I said, okay, I need to do this now. I knew life was like, okay, we've let you do all that. Now it's time to do your real work. And that was right after I had separated. I had filed for divorce and couldn't do my sort of the job I had done for so many years, and I got my degree in, and sort of everything came to a halt. Like my life just came to a halt. And if I went to go through any of those past doors, life was just like, nope, nope, those are closed. You got to go this way now.
I find that happens a lot with people too. They have a certain life they're living. It's not always this way, but they have a life they're going through, and oh, just a whole bunch of things change all at once. It's almost like the universe says, okay, you did that, you experienced that, and we're going to just shut all the doors, like you said. And then everything gets real, and you really have to get real with yourself and say, okay, who am I? What am I doing? And it sounds like you had one of those moments. That's what it sounds like to me. That's based on what you just said.
Yeah, it wasn't more of who I already knew who I was. And from when I started as a kid, I knew what I wanted to be. But then life sort of took me on a different direction. And I should say my fears took me on a different direction. But it wasn't even a different direction when I got here, because looking back, I was like, well, all that was for purpose because I needed all those tools. If I
Right.
hadn't gone through all of that, I couldn't do what I do now. So, and I think that's where everybody needs to step back and say, look at life, that everything is for a purpose. It's not about good, bad. It's just, you have a plan, you have a path, and you're sort of in combination with universe, you're guiding yourself even through this journey to get to where you are meant to be, where you chose to be ultimately.
Right. I love that. No, I definitely look back in my own life too and see the things I did that at the time. At the time I thought, what am I doing? And I look back now and I say, oh, those help me with these new areas of my life, different tools that I've learned to use. Right. So I totally resonate with that. Talking about spirituality a little bit here. So you mentioned something. So this podcast, really, I've had a lot of people on this podcast already, who've had, experiences where they've passed away and they've been brought back to life, and they had extremely powerful spiritual experiences. There's people like, there's all kinds of just very interesting conversations I've had with people in spirituality. And I was always a spiritual person. You mentioned that in a way you always knew kind of what you wanted to be or who you wanted to be. Were you spiritual as a child? Like, did you find yourself that way?
I was, and I don't know because of my upbringing, not, but as a child, I was very spiritual. And sort of even growing up, I think at some point in my life, like, especially today, I think religion got a bad word, God became a bad name. And it's more of, I couldn't come out and say those things at some point. I felt wouldn't be accepted. But then now, and doing what I do, is like, no, it's all the same. It's not different. Yeah, the religion, even religion, if you get down to the core of all of them, the core is the same. It's what man has done, humanity has done with it, that has given it all that fear and rules and regulations. But the rest of all the religions, all spirituality, is just one basic rule, one basic thing. At the
Right.
core, it's the same.
Absolutely. I'm resonating with that too. I remember when I was probably in my middle teens, I remember studying different religions, looking at them all, and so many of them had just different labels for different things, but they were all kind of teaching the same principles to a point. And then I came up with this thing this thing I would always say is, we are all one. That's all I would say.
Mm-hmm.
We're all one. That would be my answer if people ask me, well, what do you, I'd just be like, we're all one. Like, what are you talking about? And then I have to really dig into what that meant to me. But really that's really interesting. So one of the things that I thought was really interesting when I was looking over what you do is, I believe you call yourself I don't know if it's a shamanic healer or a shaman. Can you explain a little bit what that is? I've always been interested in what a shaman is and what a shaman healer does.
Again, that's one of those terms that I think people have defined it different things, and have made it into something else. But again, that's actually the same thing as part of, if you call it, your spiritual guide, meaning touch with the universal elements, and is able to easily move through, call it dimensions, or communicate with spirit, however you want to put that term. But you are connected to those things in a way that you get the information that's needed for a particular type of a healing without bringing any of yourself into it. Meaning it's a pure message that I'm gonna take, and I'm gonna use these information to help someone else in the way that they're supposed to be helped.
Right. To me, that feels so. As a musician, I write songs and I play music, and it's probably the closest I can get in turning off my brain, whatever that is, whatever this human thought process is, how much money do I have this month? What groceries should I get? When do I do this? Those thoughts. When I'm in my writing zone, when I'm in that creative zone, that's the closest that I would say I can get to that point. It sounds like what you're saying is you have a gift of being able to turn things off around you to connect and tune in to the divine, I guess, in a way, so that you can be more present with something other than everything around us. Am I right? Or am I?
It's a part of it. It's a part of it. So definitely yes to that. And sort of another way I would put it, so we talked about religion. If you take those religious leaders, let's call them, the reason I think their message got lost was that they brought their own fears, their own guilts, their own whatever it was that they were carrying into the message they were presenting to their flock. However, the shaman doesn't, I may have my own fears in my life. I may get up one day and like, oh my God, well, how am I going to pay the bills today? But when I get into the work that I'm doing with someone else, I clean and clear myself so it's a true channel so that I can work. For example, I work with fire, water, air, those elements come into the work I do. And I work definitely with the divine. So, but in order to bring that as pure as I can, I got to get pure, not to bring any of my own sort of like Atousa doesn't come into play with that.
Right.
Because Atousa may, worry about her son right now that's going through something. Atousa may be like, oh my God, the roof is leaking. I gotta fix the roof. Atousa doesn't come into play when I'm
Got
doing my work.
Okay. I'm gonna go a little bit left. I'm gonna take like a sideways step here with this for a minute. So it's a beautiful thing that you're able to do that. You can go into that place so that you can work with people. If you're somebody out there who wanted to learn principles to get to a place like you have to get to in order to do that, what are some things people can do as a daily practice to calm their minds or whatever it is you're doing to get yourself into that place?
Um, the main thing, awareness. Awareness is really a big practice. And I actually wrote a book that published in August and won a couple of awards and all that. But in there, I outline what it takes because basically, what it's going to take is for you to release your fears and come at life from a place of love, unconditional love, not love, oh, I love you because you do this, or, I love me better if I was this, but
Mhm.
unconditional love, our purest form, which is that basic, we are one that you talked about, that all religion says love. That's it, unconditional love. So, and in order to get to that place, there's awareness that's needed of that identity that is out there working, the identity of you as a dad, you as a mom, you as a, musician, even you as whatever that's out there, different parts dealing with different parts of life. And some of that, those identities, they've got their roots into, childhood of things that have happened to you that created those fearful habits and behaviors that's made those personalities now they're out there trying to keep you safe and keep you nice and comfortable and in a society so you're loved and accepted. So that's why awareness is key, because then you're going to see all those things. And then once you see it, you no longer can hide. Now you have to take responsibility for what those, identities are doing out there.
Mhm.
And from there, then again, you can't hide. So now you're like, I can't say I don't have a choice because I do have a choice
Right.
now that I see it. And, those choices then help you start practicing more love and gratitude in your day.
Right. Okay. Okay. So the reader, that's great that you said you wrote a book in August that won a few awards. That's great. We'll talk about that a bit. And that had to do with, does that book have to do about releasing your fears, finding maybe the origin of these fears, I guess, because you're saying
Yes.
childhood. Okay. So I would
Yes. It's
childhood.
called Change Yourself, Change the World. And the subtitle is Transform Your Life from Fear Based Living to Choosing Love and Seeing Magic.
Oh, awesome. Change yourself. What was the main title of it? Change yourself.
Change the World.
Change the world. Love that. Okay. So again, I always feel with these episodes, I'm the listener. So I'm thinking from a listener standpoint. And even myself reading a different book or listening to an audiobook in the past, there's been times where I'm listening to someone who's um a healer of some type, whether it's someone helping someone with success or, finding love or these types of things. And you read these stories and you read all these things you're supposed to do. Now, you are obviously human as well. You're going to have your moments that come up as well, right? So does it take consistency and working on those things? Like, do you find that the more you've done this, when you find yourself going into those spaces again, because you are human, even though you're teaching these principles, do you find that because you've done it so long now, you're able to recognize it quicker? Like your awareness is like, oh, I know what I'm doing. And so what would you do in that place? Like what happened? What does Atousa do in that moment? You know what I mean?
The practice, definitely. I've practiced this for many years and I've gotten rid of those identities, a good amount of them. I've like, you know, they don't come into play anymore, so that I can be me at any given moment. It's just purest for me and perfect. Yes, I am human. So we are all divine beings in these human forms experiencing human life. And we cannot put that aside and say, you know, those are all bad. That is what we came here. So those experiences are all great. And so for me, when that awareness of the fear comes, you know, again, basic human need, survival, and in this world, finances.
Mm.
You know, I'm a single mom, and anytime my mommy persona gets triggered, you know, I see her as like, okay, because I have fears for my son, his well-being. And but that awareness of that persona allows me to see that persona and remind that persona, okay, now can we step it back here? Because that's probably one of the main personas that's still left. The other ones were so easy, like, okay, bye-bye. But
Yeah.
this one,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
but then I'm able to bring her back and say, okay, you know, you're just freaking out right now because, oh, you're the mom and that's your kid. But let's look at the big picture, that he is a divine being in this human form, and you gave him the gift of life, and he's here to live that life. Now, can we step it back and let him live his life? And sometimes like, oh yeah, it's very hard. Sometimes she's like, no, I can't. I'm like, I'm just gonna go in, and I, you know, there's like two parts of me. I'm watching this persona. I'm like, okay, she goes crazy again. Let her go crazy, and then when she calms down, I'll have another conversation with her. And sometimes it's like I can bring it back, and when I do bring it back, that's when that fear goes away
Okay.
and a little bit of that persona goes away. So that persona, over the years, my son has just turned 16. My mommy persona has gone from like a freak to a really calm person that is able to sit back and say, okay, you know, I can let my teenager go out there and experience life without freaking out every moment.
Right. Right. So you've kind of adjusted that persona over time. It kind of changes, but right,
Yes.
it's involving another little human that's part of. So I can see how that could be one that's hard to let go of. Here's a question. You mentioned that you've let go a lot of those personas over work, working through those. I think a lot of people, like the first thing that comes to me when I think of doing that, and it's something I've had to work on, and I think most people have to work on, because I think deep down, a lot of us know our issues. I really do believe a lot of times we know these things. We just don't want to listen to that inner voice that's saying, okay, this isn't helpful. Like this personality, this piece of who you think you are isn't really helping you right now or any longer. So I think that what happens though is I feel like that's part of comfort. You know, it's who we were. It's kind of who we were built off of. You know, we had this terrible upbringing, or we had this, who knows? We all have our history, we all have our things. So we hold on to these things as a comfort, almost like a security blanket. And I always wonder how somebody can let go of that, because I feel like there'd be like a guilt. Like, I can't let go of that. That's how my family knows me for who I am. That's who, right? Like these things must come up. And I think that's the hardest part of working through it, because I'm not sure how you would let go of that. You know, what would you say if someone had that as their main, you know, okay, I know this isn't benefiting me, this part of who I am, and I know I should let it go, but it feels more comfortable. Like I don't know who I'm going to be if I let go of that.
Yeah, it's the fear of not being accepted. I'm going to lose. So your survival instinct, like if you trickle that down, your survival instinct is actually kicking in, because you're saying, if I'm become this person, I worked hard to become this, so these people love me and accept me. And if I have their love and acceptance, you know, I'm secure in knowing that I'm part of something. And that, again, finances, safety, security, all those things come into this bubble. And now, you know, I come to you and say, you got to let go of that bubble. That bubble is not who you are. And you're like, what? Forget it. No, I'm not doing that. That's like, you know, I'm safe in there. I've like all my, you know, sources in there. Like I'm safe and secure in there. They're going to love me, and I've got money and I've got my things. And, you know, how do you want me to break that? But that's the thing, is like the fear kicks in, and you got to come outside of it slowly. I mean, it's not going to be all at once, to see that's not needed for you to be loved, for you to be accepted, for you to even have money, finances, that safety, security you've built around this thing. It's an illusion, really. It's not real.
Right.
Come outside of it and see that you are still loved, safe, supported. All that stuff is still going to be there, but then it's going to require a little bit of trust.
Right. Absolutely. When it comes to money and finances, because that's a big one for everyone.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What do you believe is the biggest thing that holds people back from going after that? You know, like what do you think that it is? Like, I don't know if you can sum it up from who you've worked with, or is there common themes or anything that comes up? Like what do you think it is that's holding people back mostly from achieving those things they want?
The main thing right now is that we have built a structure in our world that everything runs on money. So money is power, money is love, money is security. Money has become everything. That, you know, the dollars, rupees, whatever your money is, that has become the source.
Mm.
And so everything is measured with the value of money.
Mm-hmm.
And if I have this, then I can achieve this, and I need this to do this. So everything is centered around it, our whole system structure. Now, the first thing I do usually with clients is change that from that mentality, that mindset, that it's not money, it's abundance. So the first shift is that shifting from that I need money, is that no, let's look at everything as abundance, and you are abundant, and feel the abundance around you. Because then when you look at it in terms of abundance, abundance can flow in many different forms, in many different directions.
Right.
When you think of money, money can only come to you if you are working, you have some sort of a job that somebody has to give you that money. And so the sources become limited, and it requires you to be doing something that somebody wants.
Mm,
So then that love and acceptance comes into play.
right.
But abundance, it's inherent in us, and it's in the code, it's in the natural code of life. That if we switch in that way, we'll see that it's always flowing in many different forms, many different directions, and it's always coming to us.
When you say abundance, you're referring to the roof over your head, the people in your circle, the people that
The
support
air you're breathing,
your breathing. Right.
the trees outside, the sun that's shining, the moon that's shining, all of that is part of this abundance.
Right. So it's shifting your mindset to not just focus on needing money. It's appreciating the abundance that you have.
Exactly. If you look at it in terms of, again, nature, your best teacher always. The squirrels out there. I love the squirrels. You see them running around, playing around, those guys and the chipmunks. I don't know where you live. Where I live, they're all over the place.
Yeah.
Now, the squirrel, it always has plenty of food.
Right.
The birds always have everything they need, from water to, yes, we humans think, oh, if I don't leave the bird feeder, the bird is not going to have food. No, the birds have plenty of food. Everything out in nature has everything they need, from shelter, their water, their air, food, everything. So they're not running after anything. They know it's there for them, and they just playing around and grabbing it. The squirrel doesn't even care where it's left it for the winter. It's like, oh no, this is my stash, that's your stash.
Right.
Let me put my name on it. They don't. It's like, oh, you know what? I'll leave it here. Bill's gonna come take this. I'll go take Joe's.
Right.
They don't care.
Right. Yeah.
So, but that's the mentality. If we shift to that mentality in our life, that I am truly, if I trust and let go, I am part of this abundance. And money is just another form of that abundance. It's not the main thing anymore. I'm not saying you're gonna wake up and say, I don't need the money. Yeah, money is just money then.
Right.
It's not like, oh my God, it's not like air. Oh my God, I can't breathe if I don't have money. No, the air is there. You can always breathe.
Yeah. Yeah. It makes me, it does seem, in the way that you verbalize that, it makes me realize how much we've moved away from our natural ways, because money is something we created.
Mm-hmm.
And so the natural way of things is to appreciate the abundance, I guess, that we have. And it's funny because I've had a lot of, so I coach music for a living, and I do all kinds of things with music and things. And I've had some students I've taught where this question will come up, and they'll be saying they don't like their job or whatnot. And they'll say, oh, you're so lucky with what you do. Like you're just so lucky that you found something you love to do. And I'll say, well, I appreciate that. But I don't really know if I'd see it as luck, because there was a part of my life where I was doing a job that wasn't fulfilling my soul. It wasn't good for me any longer. And I remember this question came to me, and it was simple. It was a way that it kind of made sense to me at the time in my early 20s, but it said, if money didn't exist, what would you want to be doing?
Mm-hmm.
That was as simple as it was. And immediately I had this picture in my mind of the world not living with money. I know money is important right now, but it was more in the sense of, okay, what can I do to service myself and people around me? And then if everyone else is doing the same thing for me, so meaning, okay, you know, Betty and John down the road make great bread, and they're going to give everyone on the street bread. And I'm going to be able to provide music for everyone and entertain people, or I'm going to be able to teach people how to do this. And then, you know, someone else down the road is going to teach everyone how to meditate. And so, see, it wouldn't be about money. Everyone would just be exchanging their life, what they're skilled in. So that was kind of the mindset I had. So I explain that. I'll say to my students, I'll say, okay, if money didn't exist, what would you want to be doing? Like, what do you see yourself doing? And sometimes when I ask them that question, it's completely different than what they're doing. Like, it's not even, they're like, well, this doesn't make any sense, and I would never get paid to do this, but this. I'll say, why wouldn't you? Because that's what you feel, that's what speaks to you. So it's the same thing where we've kind of moved away from the natural way of just being abundant in the things we love. Now, that's not to say everyone should just go quit their job right now, because we live in a society, in a world right now where money makes sure that we're secure and safe. And so you have to do things in a safe way, I believe. I don't know, but I think that, does that all resonate at all with you, what I'm saying?
Yeah, I actually, the way you talked about that structure, I talk about it in the book, that before we had these tribe situations that everybody had a role in there, and we all supported each other in those roles. Like you said, you know, if somebody was, you know, a meditation teacher, or, you know, they were the medicine men, women of the tribe, one was the hunter, one was the teacher, one was the elder mother kind of figure. So everybody had their roles, and they all, whatever came into that place, and everybody shared it. And money was created out of fear, basically. That's what, you know, we created money because we wanted to have, hey, you know, if I'm giving you this, I need this much in return. And, you know, we put this whole fear and value structure, so we make sure nobody takes more and nobody does this. And, you know, oh, you need to pay me for this. And so that's how that whole fear caused money to be developed. But yeah, that was the structure that we all lived in. And I do believe, though, we can change it, but we got to start coming at it from if everybody starts shifting their mindset from to abundance and how we view life in there, money loses its power.
Right. Right.
And that's where I think we should be headed. Not that, oh no, I still need the money. Let's come at it from a place of abundance. And if we all start to shift again, it's about, if I shift and I get 10 other people to shift with me, and those 10 people get 10 more people, that ripple effect is going to happen, and you're going to see the impact in our universe.
Right. Absolutely. I remember I seen, this is completely off topic, but, and I don't know where it was on YouTube when YouTube first came out, not, you know, I found, again, I was always obsessed with near-death experiences and past life regressions and that kind of stuff. It just really fascinated me. And there was this early 1990s video that got put up on YouTube, and it was someone who brought someone into a future life. So it wasn't past life, it was a future life. And he hypnotized this woman, and she went into this future life, and it was very far into the future. Not very far, but far enough. It was pretty far down. And it had her out picking berries. She was talking about how she was picking berries, and she was getting all these things collected. And then she went into this nice covering area, and she was giving these berries to her family and her friends. And then they were helping them with something, and they were all helping each other out. And the interviewer, the guy who was the hypnotist, was, I don't know whether he was fixated on monetary value or money and things like that, but he was listening to this and thinking, this is our future. And when he brought her out of the you know, being hypnotized, he was like, I don't know, it sounds like everything went to waste at some point. And she said, no, quite the opposite. We were all like working together as a community again and loving each other. And I had my role and you had your role. And she was very like serious about this. And he was making fun of it. And because he wasn't really living in that whole reality of what that could look like. He thought money would fix all the issues. And I'm just bringing it up because who knows if that was a real future prediction event that she saw. But I remember listening into it and thinking, well, that sounds nice. Like I don't, but then he didn't see it that way. So it is going to take some time for everyone to see life in a different way, because we are
Mhm.
so fixated on money and value and in those things. There's nothing wrong with having nice things, but I believe we can have nice things without it being the sole, that sole drive. Like that's it. That's all the end goal, you know?
Yeah, yeah. No, actually, it's funny with the future you're talking about. If you look at, everybody talks about how Star Trek or Jetsons, all that stuff that they put in, that it's coming into reality, with the Star Trek, with that flip phone thingy that they had, with the communicator. But if you think about it, both of those scenarios, Jetsons and Star Trek, they lived in a place that everything was provided for them. They didn't have money.
Right.
Money wasn't it. They had a system built in there that, and I think it was in one of the Star Trek episodes actually, that they said, Earth used to be this place that it was run on money, and then we lost everything, and then we found that no, it's better if we help each other, and that everybody has their basic needs. The food, you go there and you say, no, I want the chicken. It gives you the food that,
Right.
I forgot and that they built that structure, and everybody had everything they needed, and everybody had their roles. If you look at Star Trek, everybody in there, they had a role that they were fulfilling,
Yeah.
and there was no money exchange. You just did the job that you were good at.
I think a place where some people will go with that is they'll think, well, what kind of life is that? How do I get a house? How do I? Yeah, well, someone's going to be good at building houses. You could get the most beautiful
Yeah,
house you ever wanted.
yeah,
That as long as that person's being taken care of too. Like that's the whole
yeah,
thing. Everybody would have
yeah,
a role and be treated equally. And it sounds, like science fiction, but I do believe we can get there. And I think we're
yeah,
shifting. I think it's just this takes a while, and there's
yeah.
only so we have to reincarnate or whatever happens. Generations and generations have to kind of make these adjustments. So, anyways, I wanted to talk really quickly with you about the idea of anxiety, because
Hmm.
I'm feeling like a lot of people deal with anxieties. It probably has a lot to do with the fear and money and these things. And so I'm just wondering if, based on I'm assuming you work with people who've struggled with anxiety related issues.
Hmm.
And I'm wondering if you had any tips for anyone, a few things people could do in their daily life to reduce their anxiety, or anything that really comes to your mind that helps them.
Yeah. Again, most of the anxieties we have is because we are so afraid of being ourselves and being loved and accepted for who we are. So if you again take that down, that's where majority of that anxiety is coming from. And the remedy for that is having the love and gratitude practice for yourself. Now, this is not, and I've said this on so many shows now, it's not a love and gratitude that, oh, I love my kids, or I love this, or I love my house, and I'm so grateful for my health. No, 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 no. This is like a every moment, all the time love and gratitude practice, where as you're getting up, you are bringing attention to your own body and how wonderful it is that you, oh my God, you had that nice pillow, that and that nice comfy bed, or your sheets, whatever it is at that moment that you're like really loving and you're enjoying. Bring some love and gratitude to it. Oh, and actually say it out loud, or say it in your mind. Oh my God, I love my pillow. I love my bed. Oh my God, thank you. My blanket is so good. It's so cold outside and you're keeping me warm. And from there, what else am I like? Oh my God, I love my phone. Thank you. Oh my God, I don't know what I would do without you. Oh my God, I love this window. I get up and look at, the sun right now. Those things. And then your body, love and gratitude. And you can't fake it. Don't say, oh, I love my nose, but then inside it's like, oh my God, no, I got this bump. I wish I could get rid of this bump. No, really, truly the parts of your body. And I always tell people, if on the outside you're too judgmental about your looks, then go on the inside. Start loving the inside body parts, your blood, your lungs, your tissues, your bones, whatever you can find. And I say it, I love it. I'm grateful. I'm grateful for my bones. I love my bones. They keep, my body upright and moving and strong. I love my muscles. Thank you. I love you. You take care of this body and make me move. I love my blood. Oh my God, without you, what would I do?
Yeah.
So anything.
So love and gratitude, continuous. And what does that do? What does that do? Like how does that help us?
It helps you because you start connecting with love, that unconditional love that is that basic system, that structure that I mentioned, the structure for creativity, the structure for acceptance. Once I start to love and accept myself, it's easier for me to be who I am and bring that out into the world.
Right.
Because I'm not looking to get that from you to fill a hole.
Mm-hmm.
I already filled my hole. I'm strong. I know I'm whole and complete. And, I can come be me,
Right.
whoever that is.
Right. And I feel like with anything that would take a daily practice, it would take a while. And just
Yeah.
like if you're changing your eating style or anything like that, it takes a while. And then all of a sudden one day you go, oh, this is what I do. Like this is just
Yeah.
part of what I
Yeah.
do. So I would, yeah, that's
And in each moment, though, bring that love and gratitude to the moment, each moment. I mean, start it in the morning, do it at night. But then in each moment, if somebody like opened the door for you, I love this. Thank you.
Mhm.
Somebody, you had your hands full with the groceries and you were fumbling, your phone fell down, they gave you a phone. Oh my God, I love this. Thank you.
Right.
Even something in nature, you're walking, a bird comes and you see, it's like, oh my God, that's so great. I love this. Thank you.
Yeah. It'd be such a beautiful thing if we were taught that at a very young age, and in early school or something. It would make such a difference, right? Maybe that'll be a direction everybody will go eventually too. That's great. And the last thing is the trauma release that you use. Is that similar to the work that you do with trauma release? Is that really going into your past or?
Trauma goes into the past. So on the first session, usually I connect with them and I sort of say, I go into the parts that are hiding from you or you're not able to see because you've hidden them away. And just, I go pick like the ages that things started happening that, left a marker basically.
Right.
And then once I have that roadmap of where we need to go, then each session I help connect that person to that age, to that part, and we'll start working on healing and releasing it. And then I usually give homework or prescription, whatever you want to call it, which is basically exercises and mantras that help shift that behavior mindset that was built because of this trauma that happened.
Right. Okay. Before we conclude everything, one question I always ask everybody at the end of each talk, and it's a simple one, but it can be a heavy question. It's one that sometimes people have to sit with for a moment, and sometimes it comes to you naturally. But if I were to ask you from a humanistic side or as a general who we are as people, why do you think we're here?
I think in this moment in time, and every moment in time, what's happened again is for us to connect to our divine part and bring those two parts together, the divine and the human experience together, to know it is okay to be experiencing this human. I came into this physical form to experience.
Mm.
Without this, I couldn't experience anything. I couldn't feel anything. The energy doesn't feel. The energy is just energy. This is the body, this is the form that has that experience, the sensations of, ooh, sour. Like a kid, if you look at a baby, it's like you give them the first time you give them something sour, they don't have a word for sour. They don't know if they like it or not. It's like, whew, I don't know what's happening in my mouth right now.
Right, right. It's just
And that's basically what we came, but then we came and slapped a label of good and bad, right and wrong on everything, again, because of those fears. And that shifted everything. But still, that is our truest purpose.
I love that. I love how you said it's okay. We came here for a reason. Um, you know, because I've talked and spoke with so many people who've had these and near death experiences, and they've left and they've had this euphoric experience, and they come back in their body and they almost get kind of a negative, I wouldn't say negative, maybe I shouldn't use the word negative, but there's this, oh, I'm back kind of feeling, because it can be difficult here. But I think the idea is to learn to love, and to appreciate what we are, like you said, like just be like, it's okay. We came here for a reason and we wanted to experience this physical form. So I just like the way no one's ever said it like that yet. So that was really interesting, just to be okay with the actual physical, like to be okay
Yeah.
with, because
Yeah. Love your experiences.
yeah,
That baby is not saying, ooh, bitter or ooh, sour. They're like, what is happening in my mouth right now? I kind of like it, or I don't know if I like it. And that's the whole point. Love your experiences. They're giving you something.
yeah. No, I really like that. In regards to your book, and what and the work that you do, first of all, where can people find you? Where's the easiest way for people to find you?
If you go, I'm on social media. My website has all my links, social media links, and my website has my email, everything, all my information's on the website, which is my first name, last name.com, AtousaRaissyan.com. And then, yeah, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, LinkedIn.
And the book that you wrote.
And the book is on Amazon. Here, for those that might see this on YouTube,
Oh, I love the
the
cover. I like
yeah,
the cover.
the covers my artwork. But yeah, so it's on Amazon. But if you're in US and you like to help your local bookstores as well, you can go online and order it, and not through Amazon, but through the bookstore, and they get a help as well.
Great. Perfect. Well, thanks for coming on and talking with everyone today. That was insightful. Like I say, I always say it at the end of all my podcast episodes that the conversation goes this one kind of went in the direction I was hoping it would go, but it still went in some other directions too. So hopefully everybody got something out of it. I do want to say thank you also to the listeners. Please like, share, and subscribe. We're trying to put out positive, inspiring messages out there so people can grow in their own personal journeys. So until next time, I'll see you next time on the Soul Inspired. And again, thank you so much for being on the podcast, Atousa. Thank you.
Thank you. It was my pleasure. It was great. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. So